Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us here on KXAN Live. I'm DuPree. We wanted to get you caught up on some of the action before the Round Rock ISD School Board meets later this evening. The board members are going to be discussing two big issues in particular. One, about possibly extending the district's mask mandate, and then two, potentially censuring two of the board members. Now, there is so much to discuss, so we are fortunate tonight to have KXAN's digital reporter, Grace Reeder, joining us now live outside where the meeting is going to happen there in Round Rock. Grace, thank you for being here and for all of your reporting leading up to this moment.
Thank you for having me, Will.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss first, just give us a sense of what you're seeing outside the venue there. You mentioned earlier that there were parents already starting to be here, as well as an increased law enforcement presence.
Yeah, that's right. So we are just over an hour until this board meeting starts, but even still, you can see behind me that folks are already starting to show up, put their signs together. There is also increased police presence, and I reached out to a spokesperson for Round Rock ISD on that. The spokesperson says there are more police here because it's a bigger venue.
All right, well, thank you for clarifying that. I'm sure if any parents are going to show up, they may wonder about that, so thanks for answering that too. A number of interruptions led this meeting to happen tonight. Get us caught up on what happened that led for this meeting to be rescheduled several times.
Well, last week, people were upset at the number of seats that were inside the main chamber. What Round Rock ISD had done was they had put a certain number of seats in that main room, and then they had an overflow room. People wanted to be in that main chamber, so many people brought their own chairs in. So from the very beginning of this board meeting, it was contentious. The board members were talking about whether or not those people could stay. As the meeting progressed, the people that were outside of the room that did not want to be inside of that overflow area were being stopped by police, and then people inside the main room were interrupting, asking that board members allow those people in. At the end of the day, the meeting was less than 50 minutes, and they had to cut it short, postpone it to today, and again, this is a bigger venue, so hoping to forego some of those issues again today.
In addition to drama with people inside the meeting room, there's been also contention among the board members themselves. I'm showing people at home right now a graphic of two of the board members, Mary Bone and Danielle Weston. The members tonight are going to discuss possibly censuring them. Grace, tell us what exactly led up to this particular action.
Well, last week, those two board members walked out of the board meeting in protest of what was happening. As a result, the remaining trustees have said that they do not like those actions and that they're going to vote on whether or not to censure them. And what that means basically is they will be referred to as censured trustees in all official communication on the website, and they'll have some of their abilities stripped away as well, so they will not be allowed to show up on district property in their official capacities unless it is voted on by the board. The exception to that is showing up to one of these board meetings as they're a part of the board. They're not allowed to spend district money unless it's voted on by the board, so it does strip away some of the things that they can currently do.
During the last board meeting there in Round Rock, two men ended up being arrested, and this was all in relation after these two board members also walked out. So what was it that sparked that issue and led to that kind of law enforcement presence to have to step in?
So there were two men who were arrested after that board meeting. One of them was inside the main chamber, and he can be heard yelling at the board members. He was eventually, the board member said, you know, we need him to leave. He keeps interrupting. We can't do our business. And so he was pulled out by police, and as he's being pulled out, we at KXAN have video of him screaming back at the board members, this is an open meeting, and calling them communists. It wasn't until Friday night, though, that he was arrested arrested, and he actually spent the night in jail. I'll get back to that in a second. The other Jeremy Story was outside of the actual meeting itself, and he can be seen in our videos as well, trying to push past police officers to get in. He posted some photos of him in an interaction with police officers where they are trying to constrain him. He was also arrested on Friday night. I talked to both of them after they were released from jail on Saturday morning, and they both said that they thought that this was a violation of their civil rights. The district obviously disagrees.
And that also may lead to why police are, again, at the meeting tonight because of some of these contentious board meetings that have happened in the past. Before we let you go, Grace, I want to ask you, the district's mask mandate is remaining in place at this time despite a legal challenge previously. What action could they take in the meeting this evening?
So there's been a lot of ping pong back and forth about whether or not the mask mandate stands. As of right now, it does. So what they're going to be discussing is whether or not that mandate stands moving forward. So it did technically expire late Friday night into early Saturday morning. They'll be talking about that, and what they're specifically looking at is the superintendent wants it to be based on a stage-based guidelines basis. So when we're in stage 5 and stage 4 guidelines in Travis County and in Williamson County, it would require masks, but as you move down to the less restrictive tiers in those counties, it would allow for a little bit of flexibility with mask wearing as a result.
Grace, before I let you go, let's get people caught up on exactly what is going to be discussed tonight. For those who are just joining the live stream, Grace Reeder, our digital reporter, is live right now outside where the Round Rock ISD board is meeting. What are the two big actions that are going to take place this evening?
Yep, so we're following two big actions tonight. The first is whether or not the mask mandate that expired late last week will continue. That mask mandate, the superintendent would like it to be on a risk-based guidelines basis. So tonight they will vote on whether or not that is going to continue. The other thing that we're following very closely is that the trustees are also expected to vote on whether or not they will censure two of their own. That basically means that they will have censured trustee on all of their official communications, and it will also restrict some of what they can do as far as showing up to district property, spending district money. We're going to be following all of it very closely for you. I've got a live blog going, so we will make sure that you don't miss anything because there is a lot going on here tonight.
All right, everyone. That, again, is KXAN digital reporter Grace Reeder. She is joining us live in Round Rock there, where the ISD board is meeting at 6 o'clock. Grace, thank you for all your reporting leading up to tonight and what will follow, I'm sure.
Thank you, Will.
All right, everyone. Again, that board meeting tonight is starting at 6 o'clock this evening. You can follow Grace Reeder on Twitter at the moment for live updates throughout the evening. You can also go to our website, KXAN.com, and read that reporting over on the KXAN News app. So please download that on your phone if you haven't done so already. Once again, I'm Will DuPree in the KXAN live studio. Thank you all again for watching. We'll see you back here another time. Please stay safe, everybody. Take care. Be healthy.